The so-called flesh-eating zombie drug. It's called xylazine.
But now they've added tranq to fentanyl.
Hey guys, welcome back to Learn STEM, an educational podcast where me, Nyssa, Liam, Rayan, and Melania each take turns discussing and delving into different topics in the field of STEM. Today, because Halloween is coming up, I'm going to have a spookier video, as you've seen by the first few clips, talking about the new zombie drug, which is also known as tranq or xylazine. Xylazine is a non-opiate sedative. It's often used by vets to facilitate surgical procedures, safe handling, and diagnostic testing in animals. It's known as tranq dope, or the zombie drug. And it gets this name, I'll include pictures, because often you'll see human users frozen when they're on this drug, or almost moving in slow motion, hence this idea that they're a zombie on this drug. So xylazine is super addictive, and it's causing a ton of increases in overdoses, especially in places like Philadelphia. I know that I saw on TikTok a lot of clips from Kensington, a neighborhood in Philadelphia called Kensington, where xylazine is a huge problem. Here's a quote that I saw. Quote, "Xylazine is making the deadliest drug threat our country has ever faced. Fentanyl even deadlier," said Administrator Milgram. DEA has seized xylazine and fentanyl mixtures in 48 out of 50 states. The DEA laboratory system is reporting that in 2022, approximately 23% of fentanyl powder and 7% of fentanyl pills seized by the DEA contained xylazine. So as you can tell, this is absolutely a growing problem. So, like I mentioned in the beginning, xylazine is not an opioid, meaning we can't use the typical things we would use to reverse the drug's effect, like Narcan. Now, while Narcan is often still used in an attempt to help with the drug poisoning, people who inject these mixtures containing xylazine often will develop severe wounds, one being necrosis. I advise discretion for the next images I will show of rotting tissue from the drug xylazine. The drug xylazine itself often comes in the form of a liquid, which is used, like I said before, by vets in various ways. But it also can be dried down into a white or brown powder, which is often how it's sold illegally for human consumption. Now, this drug, xylazine, is made up of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and sulfur, and it works by stimulating the alpha-2 receptors. These receptors are found in the sympathetic nervous system, and the sympathetic nervous system is responsible for increasing heart rate, blood pressure, breathing rate, pupil size. I mean, a lot of very important functions. And so when these alpha-2 receptors are stimulated, these functions, the activities of the sympathetic nervous system, decrease. This then also decreases the release of norepinephrine and dopamine in the central nervous system. So I think we're all aware, like, dopamine are a happy drug, but norepinephrine is responsible specifically for cognitive function. So we already know that these receptors are being stimulated, decreasing cognitive function. But this also causes partial synaptic blockage. What that means is between neurons, that space is called a synapse, and that space is now blocked. So a signal between the two neurons can no longer be sent, making this very dangerous, resulting often in some type of cognitive impairment. And so obviously this drug alone is very dangerous. Then when fentanyl is added with the drug, fentanyl, if you don't know, is a powerful synthetic opioid, which is up to 50 times stronger than heroin, 100 times stronger than morphine, and just 2 milligrams of fentanyl is considered a lethal dose. So this is why our overdose rate is off the charts right now. That's all I have for you today, Learn STEM, about xylazine, the zombie drug. If you have questions, make sure to leave them in our YouTube comments box and subscribe to us on YouTube, especially for today's video with all the visuals. That's all I have for you. Make sure to listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere else that you choose to listen. And I hope that you have a wonderful Halloween. Bye, guys.